Shocking! Ukraine's armed forces unleash a ferocious counteroffensive. The fire trap has snapped shut. Russian troops are panicking, fleeing with no escape. The front line is now a ruthless meat grinder for the occupiers. Hundreds of aircraft are set to obliterate the enemy. Allies are funding the mass extermination of Russian forces. Urgent! Belgorod is begging Putin to stop striking Kyiv. The boomerang of revenge strikes back. Emergency evacuation of children, water drained from hidden systems, communications cut, and a total blackout. Russia now knows what survival truly means. Meanwhile, Putin is scheming an attack on NATO. The dictator's hunger grows unchecked unless someone finally shuts him up. Europe is bracing itself for the storm. The world stage is slipping upside down. Let's talk about it. Hello, this is Ukraine Today with the latest updates. The snare has slammed shut on Russian forces. Ukraine's counteroffensive erupts at the Dnipropetrovsk-Zaporizhzhia junction, catching Russian units flat-footed and scrambling across multiple axes. Ukrainian troops are punching through from Pokrovsk and Velikomikhylivka, driving straight into the enemy's rear. Chernovada and Gulay-Pole are under assault, no matter how loudly Moscow insists it's in control. Russian outlets rush to spin the narrative, pointing fingers at fog and drones, while quietly admitting that Ukrainian forces are already inside Chernovada, where brutal fighting is underway. Ukrainian command, meanwhile, said that the occupiers have been pushed out of Chernovada, with Prydorozhny liberated as well. Moscow is scrambling to shift reserves, but the message is unmistakable. The tide is turning. Russian propagandists are flooding social media with doctored battlefield maps, trying to pass off isolated infiltration attempts as so-called territorial gains. A familiar trick, redraw reality, declare victory. According to Vladislav Voloshin, spokesperson for Ukraine's Southern Defense Forces, a comparison between the maps pushed by Russian propaganda and the official data from Ukraine's general staff reveals glaring differences. Moscow claims its troops have nearly reached Pokrovsk in the Dnipropetrovsk region, but the real situation on the ground flatly contradicts those fantasies. Voloshin explained that Russian forces carry out small-scale infiltration attempts, brief incursions that are later sold to the public as the capture of settlements. As an example, he pointed to Russia's claims about having taken Chernovada, despite the actual line of contact being at least 10 to 15 kilometers away.
They were there for only a few hours, after which they were destroyed by our military.
Voloshin stressed that Russia is deliberately drawing a distorted line of contact using fake maps to retroactively justify its own false statements in imaginary victories.
For our part, we are indeed conducting reconnaissance and search operations, up to 24 every day, to detect their infiltration and sabotage groups. We have carried out clearings everywhere.
Hundreds of aircraft to be delivered. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy stated that Ukraine has received confirmation from its partners regarding the transfer of 250 combat aircraft as part of a new aviation coalition. According to him, this will be one of the largest decisions made by international allies in the area of defense support. Zelenskyy emphasized that the agreements cover not only the transfer of aircraft, but also the training of Ukrainian pilots, technical support, and the creation of infrastructure for service in modern aviation. Some partners have already identified specific aircraft models that could be delivered, but details are not being disclosed for security reasons. According to military experts, such a support package could significantly strengthen Ukraine's air defense and change the situation in the air. At the same time, the implementation of the program will be gradual, as it requires time to train personnel and adapt the equipment. The president stressed that the first deliveries could begin in the near future, while the full implementation of the initiative will take place in several stages. Deadly firepower from France. A key partner is preparing to deliver a new batch of Mirage 2000 fighter jets to Ukraine, along with anti-ballistic missiles and AASM Hammer-guided bombs, a package designed not for show but for impact.
Ukraine is interested in further deliveries of SAMP/T, Mistral, and Krotel systems, as well as ammunition for them. We proposed working together to improve SAMP/T to more effectively counter ballistic threats.
The defense chief added that cooperation is also underway to supply and accelerate the production of Astra missiles because speed matters when threats move fast.
We also separately discussed the provision of long-range strike capabilities, in particular Scout missiles, and focused on the joint development of innovative electronic warfare systems.
France will also provide Ukraine with an additional radar for the SAMP/T surface-to-air missile system for the period while one of the existing units is undergoing repairs. This was announced at a briefing in Kyiv by France's Minister of the Armed Forces and Veterans Affairs, Catherine Watrin. She noted that work to restore the damaged equipment is currently underway and that the replacement radar will allow the system's defensive capabilities to be maintained. The minister explained that the availability of new radars depends on the manufacturer's production capacity, which is why France is focusing on the maintenance and repair of the systems already in use by Ukraine. Volodymyr also assured that the French side is cooperating with MBDA on the supply of missiles for the SAMPT system. According to her, the manufacturer managed to double missile production between 2024 and 2025. The minister emphasized the need to further expand production capacity and confirmed that work in this direction is ongoing. Breaking from the heart of Russia, a bombshell rattles Belgorod. The governor is raising the alarm, begging Moscow to stop hitting Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities, because the retaliation hits instantly and painfully. Air defenses are failing, there's no protection, the region is abandoned. Russian media outlet Kremlovskaya Tabakirka reports this, citing their own sources.
Vyacheslav Vladimirovich stated that he had repeatedly requested Moscow to strengthen the Belgorod region's air defenses. He was told that this was currently impossible. Besides, defending Belgorod is difficult. Enemy territory is too close. Then, in a fit of anger, he said, "Let them first give us air defenses and then bomb Ukraine. They've abandoned us, they can't protect us, and for every strike on Kyiv or other enemy cities, we get backfired. They can't protect the people of Belgorod, so they shouldn't bomb anyone." It was unpleasant to hear that. It smacks of treason, which is unacceptable with all due respect to Vyacheslav Vladimirovich.
The situation in Belgorod is critical. The city is freezing. Heating points are now running 24/7. Authorities are urging parents to either leave their children in city care or send students to Crimea. Evacuation has officially begun.
If you have school-aged children, you submit your requests, as in 2024 to 2025, to the administration of Belgorod City, and we send children to other regions, those already familiar, like the Republic of Crimea, and nearby regions. We are now coordinating with the governors.
The chaos in Belgorod began on February 7th, when Russia desperately tried to spin the story, claiming Ukrainian forces were recklessly attacking. Targeted were the Belgorod power substation and Luch TPP. After the strike on energy infrastructure, the governor reported that 80,000 residents were left without heating. The next day, another shock. Water had to be drained from heating systems in 455 apartment buildings connected to the damaged TPP. As it turns out, Russians are not laughing anymore. Catastrophe sweeps across Russian territory without mercy. Europe, stay alert. Russia could strike NATO 6 months after a ceasefire in Ukraine. Some intelligence agencies estimate Moscow could reorganize forces for a regional war in the Baltic within 2 years after a ceasefire, or a local war against a single neighbor within 6 months. This is according to a new Munich Security Conference report. Analysts note that Russia has intensified its hybrid war in Europe. In fall 2025, about 20 Russian drones violated Polish airspace, and 3 MiG-31s intruded into Estonia for 12 minutes, prompting both governments to consult NATO under Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty. Meanwhile, the second Trump administration made it clear Europe is responsible for defending the continent and supporting Ukraine. The days when Europe could rely on the US as an unquestioned security guarantor are over. Munich Security Conference experts deliver a grim warning. If Europe fails to show leadership, particularly in consolidating its defense industry to protect itself and aid Ukraine, hesitation will leave Europe in a gray zone between competing spheres of influence, primarily between the US and China. What do you think about the latest events? Share your opinion in the comments, like the video and subscribe to stay informed about the main headlines. See you soon!